Hello, good afternoon. It's me, Josh Hunter. I'm here on the planet Earth. Staying on topic or something. On topic. I was thinking, about this whole, coronavirus thing, and I know there are obviously there are lots of opinions. So what does my opinion matter? And this may be bold of me, but I mean, I don't know. These are such heavy reactions. They say, okay, everyone stay away, say this, but automobile. It says a 2% mortality rate. 2% mortality rate. How many people a year do cars kill? How many people a year do cigarettes kill? How many people a year do not wearing helmets kill? A lot. But you don't see them shutting down the supermarket because of that. I also thought it was interesting. I've been watching the news. They're not showing pictures of the people who have this thing. I'm not seeing the pictures. Anyway, what came to mind is, a lot of people are out and, for some reason I just got the idea of like a guy, because a lot of people lost their jobs, or at least they're not working for a very long time. They live paycheck to paycheck, whatever. And suddenly I got the idea of like a guy who or gal or whatever, who spent like his last dollar, like the day that this thing happened, or the day that they shut down all these businesses. The idea came to me: what about a person who, if they're working at some, a restaurant or a bar or some place, and then they can't work, and then they spent their last dollar. Like, what are they supposed to do? So I was thinking about this person. I'm not necessarily feeling sympathy for them. I'm not saying, oh, poor this person or whatever. But just in case, by the time you see this or some representation of this message, I want you to not, feel so bad. Sometimes that's for the best. Not having enough money to eat and not being able to do the things that you need. I mean, it would seem almost like there's nothing you could have done to avoid that. You might be looking back and, when the true effects of this, you'll point back to that moment. You'll say, that's when it all started. I lost my job and I didn't even have $1 on that day. If only they hadn't shut down and then they react. So, for that person, I want you to know there's nothing you could have done about that. When something like that happens, where the forces were so far beyond your control, what you would have had to have done, you would have had to have done it at least 10 months ago, maybe, and if you're slower, probably about 2 years ago, maybe. So I just don't feel bad. Just pay attention to what's going on while it's happening. My guess is probably there were plenty of warning signs. There were plenty of things that came to you telling you that you should prepare and get ready. I don't know if life is kind, but I do know life is fair and life is merciful. This has been, my perception of life is that it is harsh, but ultimately fair and merciful. So if you're feeling bad about that, I don't know if you'll ever watch this video, but you might eventually watch some version of this. I'm sure somebody else will say something like this. Just pay attention to what's going on and be grateful. This also might happen that, and watch your excesses. You may have been being very excessive in certain things. And maybe you talked a lot of shit. Sometimes, you gotta know when to talk shit, who to talk shit about, and where to talk shit. Because you tell one person, you tell 100. And these days, you tell one person, you tell 1 million. I'm not laughing at your condition. Maybe some severe things did happen. I'm not laughing at, you know, your circumstances or whatever. I mean, you know, I eat out of the garbage can every day of my life, so I mean, I know what it's like. I just, I don't know. I just suddenly felt like, man, like I care about this person. I care about the type of person who, like, I mean, I don't, like I said, I'm not laughing at the condition, maybe, you know, but like the I don't know if it's irony, but the irony of, like, no, it's not irony. It's not irony. Sorry. I mean, just the day, like, your last dollar. Like, I mean, because like, every dollar is my last dollar, is what I'm saying. If I get $20, that's my last $20. I don't have a bank account. Like, if I get like $10, that's my last $10. Like, I go through my last dollar all the time. So I just, oh, sorry, I got been sucking too much cock, I guess. Also, I wanted to introduce a new term, and I'm probably not, you know, I think instead of, I've noticed that people seem to have a problem with, like, the phrase, like, sucking cock and, like, blowjobs. So I'm thinking maybe we should change the term. Like, instead of saying, like, sucking cock or blowjobs, we should just call them slurps. What'd you do last night, dude? Oh, dude, I got a mean slurp. Just call them slurps. Because, like, you know, it's less offensive, I think, and it's like I don't know, it's like casual, you know, it's like kind of like, come on, dude, I just want to slurp. You know, it's anyway. So sorry. Damn. So dude, like, who lost your last, and I swear to fucking God, if this ends up like a character or something on Saturday Night Live, if someone's gonna exploit this fucking person's misery for some money, okay, I'm gonna, because look, I'm not, you know, you say, well, what about you? Aren't you, I'm not exploiting, I want to make sure this person feels alright. Maybe nobody cared. Maybe it was your last dollar and nobody cared. I mean, nobody cares about my last dollar, but I don't care if people don't care about my last dollar. Who should care about my last dollar? Anyway, so, you know, with regards to this dude whose last dollar was spent on the, you know, on the day, you know, when it became like a pandemic and a national emergency, couldn't make no money, then, alright, that's a little passive aggressive, alright, you wouldn't know why, but I'm about to tell you. Okay, one day I was sitting down on Vine, and a group of youths came up to me while I was sleeping, and they came up to me and they're like, and I'm not saying exactly what they said, but I will preserve, I won't say it the way they said it, or even exactly the way they said it, but they said, what's the matter, fool? Can't make no money sleeping? And then they walked away. And they woke me up. No, then he barked at me. He was like, "Ruff, ruff, 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 ruff." He did that, like, very, like, I was like fully asleep, and then he came up to me and did that. So, you know, so then they walked away, and then they came back, and they offered some liquor, and I think some marijuana or something. And I was like, I think they realized what they did. And then I was like, no. And so then I did my version of that. And I tried to scare them. Because I don't have any weapons. I can't fight. All I can do, because if you're going to do something that stupid, only a person who is afraid of something would do something that's, you know, foolish, I guess, anyway. Well, no, not necessarily. But I wanted to make sure that if they were doing something that foolish, that the next time, if they tried this on someone who was much, much less patient than I was, that, you know, that they should work on their fears now. So usually when someone like does something that I find like kind of like not wanting it to happen type thing, my only like defense is to just kind of scare them. But I don't scare them. I simply, I say, oh, I say something which is kind of like, oh, what if something bad happens? And then I just let them, I don't say it like that. I adapt it to whatever is going on, but I did my version of, oh, what if something bad happens? And so as they were like walking away, I said, what? You better, okay, now that you guys have done this, you better get prepared, because in 2 or 3 weeks, you're going to get some very good gifts. And so that's an interpretation or a translation of basically saying, oh, what if something bad happens? And then I let their own fears just kind of, take care of the rest. So I don't know if that makes me blameless, but I mean, I really don't like being woken up. I don't like being woken up at all. So I don't hate those guys. I don't hate what they did, but there is some basic standard of manners that should be kept while you are living, on the earth, especially in Los Angeles. So anyway, having said that, I thought, then I guess, this kind of, so anyway, so I was thinking about some guy who might have his last dollar, and I don't know. If you were like that type of person who would walk by someone and just like yell at them, tell them they can't make money, and then bark, I mean, I don't know, I don't want you to, because maybe you didn't know. I would assume that you did. I would assume life would have given you some type of warning, and would have said, hey, you better get ready, you gotta get prepared, because, I mean, that's the way it's been for me. Like, I've never had a situation that I was not, like, warned about beforehand. I mean, I've never been, like, completely surprised. There wasn't, like, some quiet message or some subtle message, but, maybe that's the effect of never having a girlfriend. Getting ready for my, I did some preliminary research for my sex robot. And, man, dude, because since I've been talking about sex robots, I still haven't, I didn't do any research. I mean, I was just talking about it, and then today I'm like, I wonder. And then today, for the first time, I went online, I typed in sex robot. And, man, these, I don't know, it's, because it wasn't necessarily a joke, but I was just like, I don't know, like, the idea of someone who won't leave me, and is kind of warm. I mean, what the fuck do I care about warmth? I mean, alright, I do care about warmth, but I mean, like, I don't know, alright, let's focus on, like, just the idea of a person, because the fact that they're even here is warm to me, like, a physical body being, like, near me, that's warmth. Like, I don't care, like, what they're talking about. I don't care if what they're talking about is warm. I'm only concerned about, like, them being here in this physical space. Fuck. Alright. So, yeah, who gives a shit about if what they're talking about is warm? That's silly. Is bullshit. Alright, hold on. So anyway, I mean, that doll did not look bad. I'll tell you that much. I hope you're watching this before dinner. Just imagine me, like, a homeless person, a fat fuck homeless person who has not taken a shower in 2 years, getting very close to a sex robot. And all the things that could happen between us. Imagine it. Feel it. Know it. Love it. Want it. Don't dream it. Be here. Don't dream it. Be here. For the thrills to dream. Alright. Oh yeah, happy St. Patrick's Day, by the way.